Hey everyone, Matt Cerino here with another Team Stomping Grounds Battle Report. In this game, I take on John Parsons. So, I am playing a Dark Angels Space Wolf kind of star unit, and John's playing an Eldar straight up list with triple Wraith Knights. This is an LVO test mission. This is kind of tweaking John's list. The general idea of my list, I'd star up. John tries to summon some guys and use psychic powers and just go crazy with a Wraith Knight. So, John's going to be deploying first. We are in Hammer and Anvil deployment. You see we have Big Guns Never Tire. We got the 1, 2, 3, 4 black objectives there are Big Guns Never Tire. There's another one right there in the middle of the table. It's hard to see. And there are two white objectives in the corner. They are the extra Maelstrom objectives. So John's obviously going to try to push up here with his Wraith Knight. He deploys them up in the front line, lets them be his forward progressing troops. Keep all the the Wave Serpents in the back. So John does something kind of tricky. The two unpainted serpents are his objective secured ones that were bought for the Dire Avengers. And the other two are non-objective secured, bought for the Fire Dragons. So what John actually does, which is kind of tricky, is he deploys all of the Fire Dragons behind the objective secured ones, and all the Dire Avengers behind the non-objective secured ones. And since he knows he's going first, and it's Hammer and Anvil, and I couldn't get to him anyway, even if he seized, what he'll do is he'll jump them all in on turn 1, so that each Wave Serpent has either an objective secured unit in it, or is objective secured itself, giving a nice little trick there. So I deploy my two Sicarian proxies. They're a little bit small for Sicarians. We take that into account. I've tried out the double Sicarian though, and I have the Interrogator Chaplain who allows me to bring a second one. And other than that, everything else kind of stars up there in the middle. Kind of the biggest weakness of this list is the lack of extra units. I'm really relying on that big star, and in Hammer and Anvil, when I have to try to hunt down Wave Serpents, can be a little on the rough side. So I'm pretty much trying to set up, make sure I have a good position to move across the table. John's going first though. As we said, he's going to jump all those guys inside the Serpents. Very good strategy for any of you guys playing Serpents with a mix between OBSEC and not, if you have the opportunity to do it. So after that, the real question John has to do is what to do with all of his Wraith Knights. I would obviously prefer John kind of move them as a horde, which is something he's going to look at trying to do also. Just because it makes it so whenever I get there, he can get a kind of a triple charge off if he wants to charge into my star, or it kind of gives me an opportunity if I think I'm in a good spot to multi-assault a lot of his guys. I never really want to be in an assault with one because I'll probably kill it and then immediately be charged by the other two and potentially in a bad position. First Blood is very important in LVO if you guys are unaware of the missions. It is worth 10% of your final score. So a lot of what I tried to do here is kind of hide, not give John a good opportunity to take First Blood. And I kind of want to be aggressive in general in trying to get First Blood. As you see, John puts two of his Wraith Knights off to the side and then keeps the other one kind of right out in the open. He's measuring distance there, very important to know. He knows that I have a 12-inch move and then a 12-inch max charge. He keeps himself kind of at 24 inches pretty much the entire time. Always smart when you don't want your opponent to charge you is just stay away. And my squad doesn't really have a lot of downfield shooting, so he really doesn't have too much to worry about. So now that John's finished moving, we can see he kind of moves everything up together. The Wave Serpents all come up. He doesn't really do anything with his shooting phase. So now it's my opportunity. So I've got two Sicarians, which are decent at dealing with Wave Serpents because he can't jink. So my plan is to move up, try to be able to take pops of the Wave Serpent, try to steal First Blood here, which is going to be very important. Just to see what I can do. If I can take that from him, it really puts me in a good position. It allows me to pretty much play towards the primary and kind of ignore Maelstrom, because that'll get me 5 points minimum. So at least, very worst case scenario, I won't lose. I'll worst case tie. So as we see, I kind of check my range and everything else. I decided to move more to the right. I don't really want to fight too much with those Wraith Knights. I kind of try to spread the board a little bit here. Force him, if he's going to keep swinging along the bottom, like my star can easily jump down and get there quickly. But if he tries to stay up along the top, I want to make sure I'm in a good spot for it. I take my shots into the Wave Serpent. I do nothing but cause one whole point. So now I've got a Sicarian kind of hanging out there in the open, which winds up being a reasonably good chance for him to get First Blood. One of his Swooping Hawk unit come in. He's smart. He kind of buries it in the back there. He knows I have no way of going back and touching it. So it's going to be safe for this turn. And as we see John here, again, he's measuring, and you'll see what he does. He kind of is making sure what he wants to do. He wants to line of sight, and he's always checking that 24-inch range, always looking to make sure that I won't have a charge, or if I do have a charge on him, it's really bad charge. 10 inches, 11 inches, and because I have a mixture of bike and cav, I don't have fleet. It could, and if I get stuck in a charge, normally when you go to charge with this giant unit, you string somebody out. So if I for some reason get caught and don't make my charge, I'm in a very precarious position for either shooting, which Eldar bring a lot of, or assaulting and him kind of be able to choose where a lot of the wounds go, seeing as his Wraith Knights are all higher initiative than most of my guys. Can definitely be bad for me. I want to make sure that doesn't happen, so we do a little bit of dancing here, which the dancing obviously favors him. He's a shooting army, so he never cares if he has to dance. So he backs everything up. He was smart the first turn. He moved everything up to make sure he had gun range. Now he's just backing up, buying himself more shooting time. Always a good tactic. He's spreading out his Wave Serpents a little bit just to make it so my one giant star has to pick and choose where it wants to go. Because otherwise, if he keeps everything grouped up, it gives me a great opportunity for a bunch of multi-assaults, which he clearly doesn't want to do. So he's wanting to be able to put 2 hull points on that. So he doesn't get first blood there, but he does pick off one of my Wolfguard battle leaders hanging out there in the front with all the saves, so he's gonna get first blood there. The other Sicarian in the back is pretty severely wounded. One of my my 5-man scout squad comes on. They're gonna hang out by that objective. The Stormwolf comes in, which is really my only good AP shooting. Obviously, the Sicarians are just a nice extra bit of downrange shooting, but the Stormwolf is really something I need to do a lot of work here. At this point, first blood's already gone. I'm just trying to deal with objective secured things. So the 2 objective secured serpents are the 2 unpainted ones. So I'm trying to look at those and make sure I've got a decent way to put something on. You can see me measuring my distance. I want to be able to take a shot with that Hellfrost cannon. Maybe with the Hellfrost cannon, I get a chance to pick off a Wraith Knight if I happen to wound him and he happens to roll a 6. I'll take it. It's a free, cheesy way to kill a Wraith Knight. If anyone doesn't know the Hellfrost rule, if he causes a wound, he fails a toughness test. He has to take a toughness test. If he fails, he dies. So here's kind of one of my big blunders with moving the star. I decided to move more towards the top of the table. Not really my best move. It kind of puts me in a situation where I'm too far up and he gets kind of the bottom reign of the table, which with there being a big gun objective back there, not really something I want to let him have. I am able to finally take out the 1 Wave Serpent up top. There's the 5 fire dragons in it. It's 1 less objective secured Wave Serpent I'm going to have to deal with late game. As me having bottom of turn, I really want to be able to deal with these and keep them off the table as much as possible. So John now's trying to figure out what to do with the fire dragons. Obviously, they're in a bad spot. There's no objectives up there. They move slow. They're really not going to get there. And again, he kind of just keeps backing up and firing. He backs the Wraith Knights up. He moves the Serpents back. And as he swings that other unit, the other grouping of 2 Wraith Knights and a Serpent around the bottom of the table, he's going to get into my backfield and just kind of try to cause problems here for me, which 2 Wraith Knights in your backfield will certainly cause some problems. As we see here, as the Wraith Knights take out that Sicarian finally. No, that's what they call it. Yeah, finally take out that Sicarian. So now I'm in a situation where his entire army has kind of moved to the bottom of the field, but he still has his fire dragons up top that I kind of want to deal with. I did get a Maelstrom this turn to kill a unit. Want to make sure I can do that. I move up my scouts to make sure to get up on that objective, since that is, again, that is a Maelstrom in this case for me. And my Grey Hunter, or my other Bloodclaw unit, comes on. We hide them along the back edge just to make sure I've got a little opportunity in the event to hold that objective later. Objective secured, obviously. Going to be able to deal with those Wraith Knights if I somehow live through it. Sicarian's just going to kind of reposition himself there as the action's all kind of across the field. We can see John's Swooping Hawks are no longer there. They took off and coming in for a later day to do something later. So now at this point, I kind of swing my army down. Again, I'm trying to use the Stormwolf to hunt some Wave Serpents, and then I'll take that Strength 8 AP 1 shot trying to kill off a Wraith Knight. What I do there up top, as you can see, is I break off 1 Iron Priest who does not have any Cyber Wolves. I break him off to go after those Fire Dragons. In theory, it's a battle I should win. As long as I don't take a wound in Overwatch, I'll kill them in close combat. Eventually, he has a 2-up armor, 6-up invuln. I am able to charge in. I do take a wound in Overwatch, but something we have to deal with. So now he gets his Warp Spiders back in, or his, Swooping Hawks back in, the ones who popped up. His real choice, he actually has now both units in, being his turn 4. He's trying to figure out what to do with them. There is a big guns objective in the top there a scouring objective in the top there. As I've been saying, big guns and scouring. There's one up there that he wants to go deal with. He's going to bring the Swooping Hawks in up there. They're not a big threat right now to the Sicarian from shooting, but they are a threat to the Sicarian in close combat. So I am worried about that and do really want to keep that Cerino alive. I need its fast movement to try to contest an objective late game if possible. And we can see that John wants to make sure he's in range to use his grenade pack from the Swooping Hawks. And the Wraith Knight comes in. So now at this point, he doesn't need multiple Wraith Knights to go fight fight a Scout Squad and a Bloodclaw Squad. So he's going to break one Wraith Knight that way. He's got the one Wraith Knight in the back. And John realizes that at this point, he can't really run too far with that Wraith Knight on the left side of the table or those Wave Serpents unless he just wants to turbo them away. So he starts getting in position to try. He's pretty much deciding if he wants to make a move, try to come after the star, moving across the table at him. What he winds up deciding to do here, as we'll see, is he's going to move. He is going to eventually move that Wraith Knight up towards the star and try to make a move for it. The Serpents, though, he's going to keep moving them around. He needs those. They're kind of his good durable bodies for holding objectives. Seeing as he does not bottom a turn, he needs to make sure he has redundancy on top of objectives to make sure he holds them. Otherwise, I'm just going to take all these objectives from him right at the end of the game, and that's not good for him. John, at this point, does have a pretty commanding lead on Maelstrom. As a whole. So that's something you always have to deal with in these Maelstrom missions. You can kind of get behind very quickly. So John has Maelstrom and First Blood. In theory, that's 4 points. He'll easily get Line Breaker. So John's in a pretty good driver's seat here. This might be his only really big mistake. He decides to charge the Wraith Knight in. The reason it's not terrible is because he does get the charge bonus. I'm a Space Wolf, a lot of Space Wolves in my unit. I don't really care. I have counterattack about being charged. He does manage to cause no wounds. Because of invuln saves, I do kill the Wraith Knight. Kind of a bad spot for him. So I fly the Storm Wolf off the table at this point. And now I'm looking at trying to come back and hunt more Wraith Knights. Now that I've kind of got control of the middle of the table, where you can see there are 3 objectives there in the middle, I'm looking at it as I need to be able to keep that middle, keep the objective advantage, make him come to me, hope on turn 5, hope the game goes on, hope that he wastes turn 5 jumping out into the open, to get on objectives, and then I can quick kill things off on my turn 5, hope the game doesn't end, then finish everything off on 6. So we got the Swooping Hawks there, as we said, not really a threat in shooting, but I need to get away, can't let him assault me. So that thing, the Cerino goes blasting out into the middle. My lone Iron Priest did win the battle against the Fire Dragons in the top corner, so he starts moving out to the middle of an objective, but he's an Iron Priest with 1 wound, not going to live forever. I'm able to take out that Wraith Knight, Cerino turbo boosts, or flat outs into the objective. So now I've got kind of command of the middle of the field, but that's pretty much it. My scouts in the corner have managed to hold up a really long fight against Wraith Knights, and I have the 5 Blood Claws there kind of sitting in the winds waiting for their turn to go get killed by a Wraith Knight. John realized at this point he just needs to kind of keep good positioning. His Swooping Hawks are up in the corner there. One of them did bounce up in the air. The other one stayed down. As this is turn 5, the game could possibly end here. It keeps one on the objective. He doesn't really need the redundancy there because I don't have anything that can easily kill them off of that objective. So now he's moving up. Remember, the 2 painted Wave Serpents are not objective secured. They just have Dire Avengers inside of them. The one unpainted Wave Serpent is objective secured. So here we can see he's moving guys up, trying to get into a good position, trying to see what he can do for objectives. I have the 1 Iron Priest left in the top objective there. He's planning on killing it off. The one really strong unit with this star is the ability to break off whenever it needs to and can go contest objectives very easily, which is always a strong point for me. And it's kind of, even though it moves its functions as one big unit, when I need it for objectives, it's a bunch of small units. John here at this point is trying to focus on killing off the Iron Priest, eventually getting his Wraith Knight out of combat, which has kind of been a forever war here. And he positions his Wave Serpents for the following turn because he doesn't have a good spot for it this turn. He's able to kill the Iron Priest. He then turbos onto that objective. So it being my turn 5, he's got a bunch of stuff available. The Stormwolf has to come back on flying. It does have objective secured Blood Claws in it, and it itself is objective secured. So I'm looking here, I'm trying to move the shortest distance possible, so if I have to hover and get guys out, I'm in a good position for it. But I also want to make sure that I can take shots into the Wave Serpents, try to pop them open, as that's kind of my goal here. I have the Stormwolf and the Cerino to try to pop that Wave Serpent open. The reason I want to pop it open now is I'd like, when I pop it open, for the Thunderwolves hanging around, to be able to assault the guys that pop out, so I can clear them completely off that objective. Very important for me to be able to do. So you can see I get in position there. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to completely surround the vehicle, so that in the event I do pop him out, he's able to, he gets completely destroyed, which would be nice. Obviously, if he doesn't have a space to legally disembark from the vehicle, the unit inside is destroyed. I moved the Blood Claws, or objective secured, back on top of that objective. Pretty much what that does is it makes the Wraith Knight have to go deal with them. The game does not end. At that point, actually, if the game did possibly end, it actually falls to my favor. I would have been able to take the game had it ended by a mere point. So now we see the game go on. John's Swooping Hawks came back on the bottom left. So now he has the bottom left and top right corner objectives. I was able to finally assault and kill the vehicle. He has his 5 guys pop out from the inside. And my army is unfortunately oddly surrounding that vehicle, so he gets a good chance to get position and pick off guys he wants. A big thing with that star is always to make sure that I put who I want to have take wounds closest to my enemy, but because I assaulted, I don't really have an opportunity to do that. I don't get to consolidate assaulting the vehicle, so now John, with good positioning, can just kind of take out who he wants. The Swooping Hawk Blast is going to go there. It actually winds up causing a little bit of damage to some of the bikes that are closer to him, including me finally losing the Apothecary in the next round of shooting, which is really bad for me. Obviously, losing that 5 at Feeling of Pain is a big detriment with all this Eldar shooting coming at me. We can see there we didn't get a good kill shot of it, but he takes off a large chunk of that unit, as you can see. Now at this point, he's got an objective secured thing on the top, on pretty much all the objectives, either the Wave Serpents or the Dire Avengers out from inside of them. My Blood Claws did manage to hold on in the fight down there, so they position back on top of the objective to make sure I've got it. And now my only pretty much prayer at this point is to hope the game goes on to 7, because on 7 I have a chance to do a little bit more damage and pop some more things out. I try to risky play and kind of set up for turn 7, because if it ends right now, I'm beat regardless of whatever I do. I set up for a good turn 7 here by moving the Stormwolf up on top of the other objective, so I've got objective secured there as well. I move the Sicarian up to take that objective out in the open, because that's the one at this point, I'm hoping to probably leave and not deal with. I'm hoping that between the Sicarian fire and the Stormwolf, I'm able to take out those Dire Avengers, so the Sicarian would hold that objective. And then I move the rest of that unit up to try to assault that Wave Serpent on the next turn. It doesn't go well for me. The game does end on 6, which winds up being a big win for Parsons 9-1. Thanks for watching.